For women from communities that prize codes of honour, revenge porn can have a deadly impact.
I thought, OK, what's the worst going to happen? My family are going to find out. I'll be disowned. I'll probably die. I'd probably commit suicide.
They could be beaten. They could be ostracised from their community or from their family. So it's actually very sinister.
What my dad used to threaten me by saying was, I'll cut up all your pieces of your body and put it in a suitcase and bury it in the garden.
Revenge porn is on the rise. People posting explicit photos and videos online to shame, exploit and even blackmail. But Newsnight has evidence that women in some communities are being deliberately targeted.
I'd be there changing my clothes or coming out of the shower, and he'd whip his phone out.
Sarah is British, of Bengali origin, from a family that abides by codes of honour and shame.
Did you feel uncomfortable about it?
Oh yeah. I mean, although it was just lingerie, it was just sort of, these days, if you go on Instagram or whatnot, that you'd probably see more than what were on my photographs. But for me at the time, and with the kind of background I came from, it was a huge deal. You know, it was equivalent to sort of XXX.
Sarah had actually married the man in an Islamic ceremony after meeting him on a South Asian matrimonial website, but he still used the images to dishonour her and her family.
He went to Bangladesh. That's where sort of I have family, he had family. That's where the website was created.
What was the website?
It's a website, my first name dot my surname, and it basically he kind of promoted me like escort, and then there were services available. There were videos available, a payment. There was actually an address where he offered people to send a payment or a cheque to purchase videos or photographs.
In our community, yeah, it's always the girl. She brings more shame to the family than the boys would.
As a sheltered 16-year-old, Soraya also thought she'd found love when she met a man online. Her British family is of Pakistani origin, and their community strictly follows shame and honour codes.
They won't change when they see stuff like this on TV. They're like, she was bad. I mean, I've heard my family say that while screaming at a TV screen, saying, no, it wasn't the parents, it was her. She was the whore and all of this.
Soraya says she was duped by the man she believed to be her first boyfriend to send intimate pictures.
I feel like I've let myself down. Family. He kept asking for more, and I did 2, 3, 5 in total. A couple of days later, he came up with a story and he said, oh, I've had an accident. The car's in a compound. Can you lend me some money to take out the car? This was my college money that I'd given him, £100. When it got to about £500, he rang me and he goes, you know what I want from you? And I was like, no, what? He goes, I want more money from you. He goes, if you don't, then watch me. I'll be sending those photos to your family.
People pick on vulnerable people because they actually do know that the shame and dishonour that they're perceived to bring to their family and to the community is a method to actually control them and to control their behaviour. It's not in all cases, but it is in some cases. And for me, this is even, it's even worse. It's not someone that they've had a relationship that's just jilted them, but it's actually an even more serious crime because they are targeted.
We've changed their names and hidden their identities, but Sarah and Soraya were brave to talk to us. Newsnight has heard the stories of more than 100 women from honour-based communities. All the others were too frightened or ashamed to be filmed.
We've heard some awful testimony. One woman described what happened when the man she fell for online sent her photos of them having sex. I was horrified and scared, she said. I didn't want my children or family to find out. I was then blackmailed and gave £5,000. I was also asked to sleep with 2 of his friends. I have wanted to end my life. I lost £17,000 in total. I suffer with anxiety and panic attacks now. Another woman also talked of feeling suicidal. She's being blackmailed by an Indian man who wants her to marry him so he can get a British visa. The irony is, this is called revenge porn, but in many of the cases we've heard about, The images used to blackmail these women are hardly pornographic.
It could be a girl who usually wears a scarf, and she's not wearing a scarf in the picture with the boy. It could be a picture of a girl perhaps showing her arms or posing seductively, fully clothed but deemed inappropriate. Consequences could range from getting disowned, getting by the family, getting ostracized by the community, being packed off back home, to be married off because the family think that's the way we solve the situation, will hide it away. And the worst case scenario is they get killed because they've brought so much shame, the family just can't cope with it.
You can lose so much for your family even finding out. It's such a risk. I do strongly believe that the rumours did get out. The threats were to take me back to my father's homeland, Pakistan, and get married off and stay there.
You talked about forced marriage being a potential upshot for you of this, but do you think death could have also been something that might have happened?
That was my biggest fear. Like, which one is he going to do? What my dad used to threaten me by saying was, I'll cut up all of your pieces of your body and put it in a suitcase and bury it in the garden. And I actually genuinely thought he meant it.
You couldn't see Soraya's face or hear her voice, which makes it difficult to portray just how terrified she was to talk to us. She arrived in tears, fragile and shaking, and said she had never spoken fully about her ordeal, but she was determined to tell us in the hope that other girls wouldn't go through what she did.
Chains of messages were sent out to various people in the city, in my community, restaurants, mosques, everywhere, and they had a link to the website. I distanced myself from my family completely in shame. Okay, so it didn't get to them disowning me. I kind of disowned myself from my community and my family. One thing that was said to a very close friend of mine, and she was in tears to me. Her brother said, "You can't be seen with her. Well, if you don't care about yourself, think of your little sisters." His excuse was...
So why did her husband do it? Sarah told me she later discovered he was already married. Their Islamic ceremony wasn't legally binding, and she says he's deceived others.
They were all Bangladeshi, the two before me, and the one after me, surprisingly. And these were really sort of educated women, and there seemed to be a pattern. And every woman he did it to, he did gain financially. And that's when it hit me that, I had various properties and things under my name, and I thought, oh goodness, I think he knew very well where what his aim was.
My friend told me he's done it to many people. He's used his attraction, his charm to win over these girls online and blackmail them into taking photos and eventually asking for money. He's got away with it, and I still have a feeling to this day he's still doing it because he's not been caught.
The government recently made revenge porn a specific offence in England and Wales, but the men who abused Soraya and Sarah are walking free. Campaigners say when it comes to people from honour-based backgrounds, legislation will only make a difference if victims are willing to report what's happened to the police and the community addresses the codes of honour and shame that see their daughters blamed. In the end, Sarah did find support. After a period estranged, her family took her back.
They realised what was more important, and that was their daughter. And then I think they just built a very strong, thick skin. They just become thick-skinned and thought, right, actually, no, we want the happiness of our daughter. And I think that's very lucky for me. I haven't read a story where somebody's been through what I've been through and is still happily in touch with their family.
Perhaps that's why she agreed to shine a light on a problem that's remained hidden for too long.